Hi, welcome to I'm Just Here. I'm your host, Reese Baker, and today we're going to talk about pouring back into me with my guests, Chloe and JP. You guys say hi.
Hello, everyone. Hey,
a little nervous. It's okay, relax,
Yeah.
This is just conversation. So, my first question is, why do you think it is hard to pour back into yourself? Does anyone want to start? JP?
I feel like it's hard to pour back into ourselves just because we're so hard on ourselves. And, like, we feel like we have to, like, be set to a certain standard. And, like, when we don't meet the standard, it's just like, man, I failed myself. So it's kind of hard to, like, pick yourself back up and just pour back into yourself. But, I mean, you can do it, but it's just hard. That's why I feel like it's hard for me to do it.
Yeah. I think that we're, like, taught to be selfless and like it's not about you, like you know how often are we heard, oh, the world doesn't revolve around you. It's like, no, it doesn't, but it is still important, and so I think for me it's hard because I just want to pour into other people, and I'll do that till I have nothing left. And then it feels weird to like switch that back onto yourself.
I think that's true. Like, to piggyback off of what JP was saying, it gets easy to, like, see, okay, I didn't get this done. I'm hard on myself now. I know me, personally, I'm, like, a big perfectionist.
Yeah.
So, like, when it comes to something that I like doing or something that I enjoy doing or something I know I need to put my all into, I just, like, okay, if it doesn't look a certain way, it's wrong, it's bad.
Yeah.
I think nowadays we're so used to the presentation of things.
Yeah.
The world is kind of like involved in that, like how things look, how things are visually.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know. It's just like, I feel like that's a big aspect of why we can't feed back into ourselves. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, like how people look at yourself. Even it be like the smallest things. Even like I'd be like, I have to make sure I look good. I'd be like, you like my outfit? Like, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just it's the small things to me.
What about you, Chloe?
Right. I don't know. I think that, like, visuals are definitely very important to me. And I'm trying to think how that would, like, stop me from pouring into myself. But I think that's probably one of the main ways, is I just control the aesthetic of my life. Like what you said with your outfits. Like, if I don't have a lot of time to myself in a day, I'll be like, well, I'm going to make sure I look put together and feel put together. And if my space, like my room, is chaotic, like I'm gonna put it in order, and that's like a form of self-care for me. But sometimes I could see what you're saying, like I'll get caught up in the aesthetic of things where I don't actually do the practices that pour into me.
Yeah. My next question is, what is your source of pouring into yourself? I'll start off. I think faith is a big one.
Yes.
Like God and replenish. I think that Jesus has a way of, like, when you're back against the wall and you're, like, stressed and tired and you feel like you're empty, I feel like being in his presence and also being around people at the same time that love God like you do, I think that can help you pour back into yourself.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with you on that one. It's just something about, like, praying and, like, just being around, like, a supportive group and, like, just, like, trying to be a better you with God. It just helps you so much. And I don't understand, like, it's kind of crazy. Like, I could feel so sad one day and, feel like I'm not doing enough or not enough. And then I would pray and then, like, I would feel so much better and, like, just instantly get back on what I need to get back on.
Definitely, like, the same. Like, I think the peace that I have doesn't come from me. And that's a problem I think a lot of people will have. Like, if you are dealing with anxiety or, like, exhaustion or something, and you're looking into yourself for, like,
peace and comfort.
Yeah, it's, like, especially if you're feeling like you have nothing left. Like, I don't know. So, in a way, like, for me, practically, it'll look like making space for God. Or, like you said, having those conversations with people I trust and, like, know that they also are focused on God and, like, letting them pour into me and just giving, like, that opportunity Does that make sense?
Yeah.
This is a little bit off topic, but what you were saying, like, we try to find peace with other people. That's the same thing with happiness. We try to find happiness is like within other people, like our partners, our friends, except for like us.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is so crazy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think that is, though?
We're humans. I mean, no, but for real, like, I feel like it's that just because, like, everybody's scared of being lonely. And I feel like everybody's just so terrified of being by themselves and being lonely, when it's like, it's not always a bad thing. So that's why I feel like they lean on other people. That's why some people just steady in a relationship and not single, because they can't find happiness within themselves. They always looking for it in someone else.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's true, though. I think it's not, I think loneliness is like something that I don't think a lot of people should be negative about, to be honest. I like my like zen time, just being by myself. I think that's peaceful.
Yes.
It's like if you're constantly talking to people, or you're constantly involved or invested in other people's lives, and you're not kind of living for yourself, it's hard to kind of figure out what you want to do and what your goals are, because you're so central focused on being in a relationship or having a bunch of friends.
Yeah.
You kind of get taken away.
That's so like full circle too, when we were just talking about like being taught to be selfless.
Yeah.
And then that's like another thing of like, okay, my value is, you know, what I bring to the conversation and like what I bring to the friend group and all of this, instead of like you showing up for yourself and having that alone time. And then you do have to get past loneliness in order to get there and to get that peace.
I think it is also recognizing that you don't like loneliness.
I feel like because everybody just paints it as such a bad thing.
Yeah.
Like, literally, it's just our brain, like, when we think of loneliness, what color we think of? Blue. What color is blue? Like, sad. Like, you get what I'm saying? And I feel like that's really it. Like, loneliness doesn't have to be a bad thing if you don't make it a bad thing.
Yeah. I don't even think it has to be. I don't really understand why. It's more so like people are so invested into like pouring into others. It's not a bad thing to pour into others. I think this is kind of what you were talking about, Chloe. It's a bad thing when you don't have anything else left.
Yeah, for yourself.
For yourself. And you're just doing it. And you're just like giving all this person all you have, giving them everything, giving them wisdom. And it's like, sometimes when I give people advice or things like that about certain things or different conversations, I'm not saying it for that person. I'm saying it for myself. To kind of like recenter myself in a way. It might be intended for you, but I needed to hear it just like you needed to hear it. Does that make sense?
That's so deep. Like, that is so profound, and you just said it casually.
Exactly.
I love that. I think, honestly, that, like, when you said that, it all just, like, clicked in my mind. There definitely have been seasons where I was, like, filling my life with other people's needs and, like, really focusing on, like, supporting certain friends who, like, were going through a lot and stuff like that, to the point where I had nothing left. But it wasn't for me. Like, it was definitely for them. And it almost was like they were kind of clingy and gave me this picture of, like, oh, if you don't, like, do this or help me in this way, I'm gonna fall off the edge. And then it's like, wow, that's so much pressure. Okay, I'll be there for you. But it was exhausting. And I don't think it was for me. I think it was for the other people. And I definitely had to, like, set some boundaries.
It is about setting boundaries. It's about like not being, it's okay to be there for others, I think, but it's also better when you set a boundary of how far am I gonna go.
But then again, it also gets complicated because I dealt with the same thing, but mine was like with with the relationship, like my ex-boyfriend or whatever. Basically, I just was there for him. Like, I was kind of like his mom, like supporting him through everything, and I didn't have like nothing. I didn't have nothing. Like, it's been time to spend my last dime, like anything. It was on him, but. You know, I told him how I felt, like, you know, like, I feel like I'm always here. I always have to do this. I always have to do that. I'm not your mom. Like, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I just totally understood, like, everything I was saying. But I just, now that, like, I step back and, like, you know, get myself together, I'm like, wow, like, I could have been doing this. But, like, I didn't have nothing to do for myself.
You didn't
like,
have the energy.
Yeah, I didn't have the energy, the time, or nothing because I was always worried about him and never myself.
Yeah. I do think that happens a lot though, like in relationships. It's so like, well, I would just say in the outside of relationships, I think it's also because y'all have good hearts. So people tend to like take advantage of it.
That's true.
And I think that's nothing wrong with having a good heart, but it's like a certain extent. Okay, I see that I'm pouring into this person way more than they're pouring into me.
Right.
But it's like, I don't want to recognize it, but I see it.
Yeah.
But I'm like a nice person, I have a good heart. And you know, it's nothing wrong with that. But I'll also say, like, if a person is giving you 40% and you're giving them 80 or over 100% in a relationship, is that relationship really equal?
No.
Right. Or beneficial for either person, because that's what I had to realize. Like, these people I thought I was helping, I really wasn't, because I wasn't giving them the opportunity to help themselves or to learn from failure.
Yeah.
And so, like, if you're always, like, saving people, and for me, it's usually friends, like, I don't know, with guys, I'd probably shut it down too fast, honestly. That's probably too much information. But, like, with friends, like, I'll be like, girl, I got you. I don't even need to know you very well. I'll pull up and change your tire, no problem. You know? And
I think that's you, though.
Yeah, it is, but I need to guard my heart. I need to protect my space and my energy so that I don't run out.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing, too. Also, do you think that you had a good influence more into pouring yourself? Like, when you see what that looks like, did you think, growing up, did you had a good influence? Like, who was a big influence in your life?
Oh, most definitely my mom. I love that lady to death. Like, we didn't have the best relationship. Like, I was a brat. I didn't understand. But, like, now, love that lady. She just set it all out for me. Like, if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be, like, kind of, like, on my game and stuff like that. My faith with God wouldn't have been as strong. Like, so she really, like, I see what she does, and I just kind of model after her. So, yeah, definitely I had a great influence.
What was you
good? I don't even know. Like, I do have, like, a good relationship with my parents, but I think because I grew up in such a big family, it was like, you have got to, like, be there for the team, and that, like, you being there for yourself was almost like secondary. And even with my mom, you know, she had so many kids running around, like, I didn't get to see her take a ton of time for herself, but it was there, I just couldn't see it, you know? And then I would say, like, later on in my relationship with my mom, she, like, got into therapy and was, like, starting to, you know, just grow and process all of the years. And she had a conversation with me where she was like, yeah, these things, like, could have been better. And that meant so much to me. And when she said that, she kind of, I guess, like, reinforced, like, Chloe, you can show up for yourself, you know? Like, you don't, like, you're putting this pressure on yourself to be this type of a person, but you don't need to. Like, you can have freedom. And that was huge for me.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say it was, like, necessarily modeled my whole life. This is, like, a newer thing for me, honestly.
I would say the same thing as Chloe. I think my mom, personally, my mother, when I was younger, I always saw her, like, and kind of like on the outside looking in. Like, you know, when you see things as a child and you're recognizing it as a child, but then when you see it as an adult, you're like, oh, that was kind of bad.
Yeah.
That wasn't good. I was in a good, healthy, like, environment. But I would say my mom is more so, like, the go-getter. Like, she's the type of person, like, she's gonna go get it, and she's very smart, very educated, but it's like, she put more into her career than her child. Now it's more so flipped. It's like, okay, I see what I recognize. I think, like, with that whole thing that your mom did, I see what I recognize as bad.
Right.
And this is why, you know, I feel bad that these things happen, but it's okay to show up for yourself. It's okay to pour back into yourself. But when she said it, I don't know, it wasn't big for me. It's just kind of like, okay, I see what I don't need to do for my future.
Yeah.
So it's just like modeled that, okay, these are the practices that she did. That's not what I want to continue to do. Because I see the effects of what happens when you have children in that type of space. I see how that impacts your kids and what they think and how they view, themselves, especially as women, because we're taught to like hold the family up and be the glue, and we're there for everybody else. But then it's like, what's left for us? Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I think she taught me kind of like what not to do to kind of save myself for pouring back into myself. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Yes, that's so
definitely.
smart. It's good that you look at things that way, though.
Yeah.
That's very good. I don't know. My mom, she's just...
I love your mama. I don't even know you.
Yeah, she's amazing. Because she's like a psychiatric nurse. So, like, she does a lot of stuff.
Right.
Yeah. So she's, like, very big on mental health.
Yeah.
So, like, if it's, like, even when I was, like, a little girl, my mom worked a lot now. She was a hustler.
Same.
She worked a lot, but she would always make sure she spent time with her girls, like her kids.
Yeah.
We go out of town, or if it's just, like, we get checked out of school one day, go get our nails and toes done,
I love that.
and go to CC's Pizza and go to Claire's. Like, it's just literally
a good day.
just
That's
that,
a good
like,
day.
you know, and she just always told us to just do right by people.
Yeah.
And just to be
Right.
nice, just to be a kind person, but also don't let nobody, she said in some ways, but don't let nobody mess with you. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
So that's why I say I really think my mom is just like a strong role model in my life.
Yeah.
That's like the beautiful thing about families, and especially like mother-daughter relationships
Yeah.
too. It's like every one of us had like a different experience with our parent, but we're able to take that and say like, okay, this is how I want to show up for my family and for
Yeah.
my friends and the people around me. Whether it was like good or bad. Like, and my mom, we definitely like she definitely was there for me and like very involved in my life. But I think I was like kind of how you said you were a brat and you couldn't see it till later. I think I was a brat. I definitely I had like a poor perspective on it. And then as my mom has gotten a perspective on like just my childhood, and we've been able to talk through it, like I'm able to like think about like what I want my kids' childhood to look like.
Yeah.
And it's like every generation there's like more healing.
Oh,
more
yeah.
Yeah, I do feel like that. I
Yeah.
definitely feel like that.
Definitely. In what ways can we as a community do better about pouring into each other?
Honestly, I feel like as a community pouring back into ourselves, I just feel like we just need to take time for ourselves. Like, literally, if we're just alone by ourselves, no friends, you get what I'm saying, not even on the phone, I feel like we'll have time to think and just, take the initiative to work on yourself. Be like, I don't like where I'm at right now. What can I do to make this better? What can I do to make myself better?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's how I feel.
Yeah. I would say that and having boundaries.
Yeah, boundaries too.
Boundaries all in every relationship. Like, I need boundaries with my friends, and when I started setting boundaries of like, okay, I'm not going to do this for you. You need to do that for yourself.
Yeah.
Like, actually, there was a time where every Sunday, like, I just felt like people were stealing my days. I would, like, be at church, and I'd be working at the church, and then afterwards, I'd be exhausted. I want to take a Sunday nap.
Yeah.
And then people would come over to the house, and, like, I would feel so drained, and eventually I had to start saying, hey, Sundays is my rest day. Like, after church, and I'm not this way anymore, my schedule has changed, but at the time it was my only day off, and so I was like, I need to sleep, I need to journal, I need to be by myself, and I set those boundaries, and when I did, beautiful things happened in my relationship, because people felt freedom to set their own boundaries for themselves.
Yeah.
So, like, they stopped stepping on me in my time, and I stopped stepping on them. I'd be like, I don't want to hang out with you if you don't want to hang out with me. If you need to sleep, let me know. Like, I want that for you,
I say recognizing that we're not, like, it's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah.
I think that sometimes as a community, especially like being in like a place like college, I think that we expect people to be where we are, and we don't give grace to those that aren't. So I think that recognizing people are not on the same path as you, and sometimes they don't know how to articulate how they feel or express their boundaries because they weren't taught that.
Right,
You know,
right.
they're learning it as they go because, you know, as new adults, we're still learning about ourselves and still learning what we can handle and what we can't handle. So we can and what we can't. So I think it's also like extending grace to those, but also remembering that with grace is okay, recognizing, okay, this person, you know, it's not a bad person. They think, you know, they can take advantage of my kindness, my all that. But I see for what it is, and I know how to move forward now. Because I think that, I don't know, like with me, I'm like a person, like I fill people out before I show them my whole self.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just like, I can show you my whole self, but it's like, are you ready for my whole self?
Right.
Mm.
Are
That's
you going
the
to be
thing.
respectful?
Are you respectful of
Right.
my whole self? You know what I'm saying? Because I think that a lot of times, like, people just see, like, the outside looking in, not really the inside of the
right.
person. So I think, like, recognizing and seeing grace, but also being a person where, okay, you know, they're cool, but I'm only going to give them a little bit of me. Not the whole part.
Right.
Not the full version of myself.
And a lot of us fail to do that because I fail to do that sometimes.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
think it's just this about that, to be honest. Like, I would just say from my own interpretation of the question, but I'm just the host. So,
If you see, like, your friends who, and recognize, like, okay, this person doesn't know how to communicate their needs, especially, like, when it comes to boundaries. How do you, like, have that conversation with them where you're like, hey, I don't want to step on your time. I don't want you to step on mine. Like, I want there to be boundaries in this relationship. How do you do that? Not to flip the question on the host.
No, you're good. What I do is, okay, I take a lot of things in consideration. How long have I known this person? Also, what is our relationships? Because, you know, sometimes we can be associates and not friends. So it's like, are they an associate or a friend? Do I really care or do I not care? So I take that in consideration. But I also feel like it is about just, like, letting God speak through you as well. Like, not sounding harsh. Because sometimes I feel like we just speak with this and not this. So I definitely think before I speak. So it's just like, hey, you know, this is... I think also taking into consideration, how do you want to be loved as a friend?
Yeah.
Ooh.
I think that's also, like, learning your love language and learning what you do accept and what you don't accept is a big thing.
Right.
So it's just like, how do you want to be loved as a friend, and what character traits do you like that you see in them? Because all friendships is two people that are platonically together that are friends, but can bring things out of each other and also give things out of each other too. So it's like, am I giving more to them, or are we giving the same amount? Or is it more so a thing where I'm giving and they're receiving more than I'm receiving or giving? Does that make sense?
Ooh. Right. That's deep.
I never even know, because I never even thought of it like that. But it's just like, even if you are giving more than you're receiving in a friendship, at the end of the day, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. Right? So it's just like, is it really, like, you know what I'm saying? Is it ever really going to be 50-50?
Right.
In anything, that's what I'm saying. And even in, like, relationships, friendships, like, family dynamics, is it really ever going to be 50-50?
I don't think so.
I think it depends.
On the
I think
situation.
it could be, you know, like, but some friendships, I'm like, okay, that's my little sister. I don't expect my little sister to give as much as me. Like, I'm the big sister in this relationship.
Yeah.
Or I'll be like, that's my auntie. I don't expect, like, to be giving all of this to my auntie. Like, I'm there to receive. I'm there to be mentored. You know? Like, an influence. So I think it just depends.
On the relationship.
Right. In, like, just a peer relationship, like I said, I'll recognize, and a lot of times I'll categorize it as that. Like, that's my little sister in my mind. You know, like, I love her. I'm going to be there for her. But maybe she's not ready to be there for me. I don't know. You know, and then little sisters can grow. But it's not a bad thing.
No,
you know, it's just,
not.
it has helped me recognize what I can give and what I have to keep to myself.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
That does make sense.
Yeah. So lastly, that was a lot.
That was really deep.
Lastly, what advice would you give your younger self you could? What specific age would you choose? Like, which age would you choose? I'm not gonna lie, I probably would do my, like, middle school era.
Yes, 7th grade.
Yes, I would do my middle school era. I would just tell her, like, be you, babe. Don't feel that you have to, like, be influenced by anything. Just be yourself. That's what I would say, to be honest. And, like, pour into your dreams. That's what I would say. Yeah, that's just my 1-2. JP?
If I could see myself again in 7th grade, that's crazy.
That's so cute.
Well, I would have to call her Jayla because I didn't get JP yet.
Yeah.
So I would tell her, listen to your mama. Okay, don't give her a hard time. Do what you're supposed to do. Keep making good grades. And, yeah, be a good leader.
That's so good.
What about you, Chloe?
I'd probably say I will stick to the same era because honestly, the middle schoolers need advice. I would just probably say it's not that deep. Like, I was so in my feelings about everything and, like, just in my head, I'd be like, it's not that deep.
Yeah.
Like, these problems that you have feel like they're huge, but they're going to pass and you'll get new problems. But you'll overcome it, like,
it won't get better.
Right, it won't get better, but you'll get better. You'll
better.
grow. And that's beautiful. That's worth looking forward to.
Oh, also, I would tell myself, you control your own emotions. I literally learned that when I got here. Like, I control my own emotions. Like, nobody can make me really mad. Like, do I want to be mad? Like, do I want to be sad?
It's a choice.
Yeah, basically, like, of course it's going to hurt. Some of them's going to hurt. But you know what I'm saying? Like, you control your own emotions.
Okay. Well, that wraps up my last question. Thank you guys for coming, JP and Chloe. As always, remember, guys, stay blessed, no stress, and always be here and subscribe and watch and be on the lookout for more content. Thank you guys for coming.
Woo!